Migration is an ancient issue among mankind. Starting from hunter-gatherers, we moved to civilized societies where we gathered and have all kinds of system of government. So it's not a new thing. But when we look at contemporary migration, we can trace its history. During the colonial period, if we limit it to Nigeria, Nigerians and by extension, Africans move for educational reasons, for trade to different parts of the world. And even during this period, when different areas were open up to trade, open up to different things, people began to move from one local community to another, most especially as it relates to issues of economics. That said, today we are experiencing a totally different situation, a situation whereby a huge number of people, irrespective of their education, are solely interested in leaving Nigeria and going abroad. However, they define this abroad. For some, even Ghana, just some hours away from Nigeria, is abroad. Libya is abroad. Almost everybody is just simply interested in doing one thing: to live abroad, for abroad. And I find this very, very interesting. I got it from the UNDP, United Nations, whatever. UNDP examine or generalize the issue of factors underlying migration to two key things: expanding human capabilities and human functioning, which I think is very, very important. Almost everywhere we turn, people move about solely because they want to expand their capabilities. They want to move away from areas of lack to areas where they have multiple opportunities so as to achieve their goals in life. Let's be honest with ourselves. These are lofty ideals that anybody can travel or can live for. But a whole lot depends on a number of things, five of which I'll call our attention to. When we talk about migration today, as far as the history of Nigeria goes, we can trace the history of this mass migration of skilled and unskilled people to a policy introduced in Nigeria on June, if I remember, June 27th, yes, 1986, Structural Adjustment Program. This program brought about mass movement of highly educated professionals from Nigeria to United States, United Kingdom, Canada, and the Gulf states. And let's not forget, how did we get there? The problem of structural adjustment program has its own history, and a lot has been written about this. So we don't need to bother our heads tracing this history. But just like a snippet, structural adjustment created a situation whereby highly skilled individuals found themselves being paid pittance, and a huge number of them just mass migrate. We call this brain drain, largely because it drained Nigeria of the expertise. People who are trained with our money, with national wealth, who enjoyed all the best of education, they just mass migrate due to situations at home. So this push and pull factor overseas, they could market their skills, market their education, get the best for what they have. And this situation began to draw others who continue to found the economies at home, the jobs landscape at home unconducive. There's a situation whereby people who have migrated, this first set of migrants, they are doing well abroad, they are doing fine. So it began to draw a huge number of people, that lure of let's go abroad, life will be better abroad. These people have gone, they came back and they are doing fine. So people want to go there. But what we find today is that we now have a situation whereby this so-called abroad, you need deeper understanding of what is going on there for you to achieve your migration dream. And part of what you need is not just a question of what's the knowledge that I have? What's my skill? You need knowledge about the landscape of where you are going. Visa categories play a huge role in what will become of you. No matter how educated you think you might be from Nigeria, if you don't have the requisite visa that will grant you a life, a meaningful life over there, certainly your life will be miserable. And these are facts that people need to understand, that as we go on, we can, because I don't know whether my 10 minutes is gone, we can deal with this as we go on when I have further opportunities. What I have in mind is to use the case of the United States. I have before me all the types of visas that United States grants to outsiders. I don't want to use immigrants now. And what these visas connote for them in the United States. Not all these visas allow anybody to have a life that is in the head of migrants. Like I said earlier, I don't know whether my 10 minutes is gone, because in the course of talking, you lose track of time. But as time goes on, I can come back.
You still have like 2 minutes more.
2 minutes more. Thank you. So let me run through briefly the classes of visa that United States grant. We have A1, A2 visa, which are diplomatic and foreign for diplomats and foreign government. We have A3 visa, domestic employee. Then we have B1, B2 visa, the most common type of visa that most Nigerians are carrying, thinking that they have visas. These are for business visitors, domestic employees, academics, researchers and students, tourists and people for medical treatment. These two classes, B1, B2, allows you to enter the United States. Beyond that, you don't have a life. You don't have a life. You cannot have any recourse to public funding. You can't go to hospital. You can't even buy anything on credit. You have to produce cash to acquire. You can't even open a bank account. Imagine a situation where a Nigerian who perhaps had a master's degree in Nigeria got a B1, B2 visa and move over to United States, thinking that I will just disappear. Life will be okay for me. Once you get here, you can't open a bank account. You can't even buy a telephone line. You cannot work. Why? Because the visa itself was just meant for a visitor. And here in the United States, you cannot do any job without that your class of visa determining what you will become. So we also have C1, C1D visa. This for transiting through United States. People get it and get into the United States and run away. We have E1, E2 visa for treaty traders. We have F1, M1 visa for students. In this case of student visa, students are allowed to work 40 hours a week. 40 hours a week. And they can only work within the university, within the institution. What that simply means is that they cannot work outside. And come to think of it, how much is cost standard living wage? How much is it per hour? If a student gets, I don't know, if you can get $10 per hour, if you have $10 per hour, what does that mean? It simply means that that $40 per hour cannot even pay your rent in a month, let alone fuel your car, let alone feed you. So some students will think, oh, once I get a student visa, I can easily go out and work. You cannot work. You can't do anything. Besides that, we have G1, G4 visa, which is for employees of international organizations. They had their own organization that is bringing them there, and that's the class of visa they get. G5, domestic employees of G1 and G4. Those people that have G5 cannot even work. Then we have H1 to H3 and to H4. H1 visa, that's the visa that I got because I got my job right from Nigeria. My wife, we met at the University of Ibadan. We carried the same certificate from the University of Ibadan. The certificate that I got from Ibadan, with which I was employed, cannot even get my wife a job because I have a H1, She's carrying HB. I have H1B. She's carrying H4. So that's class of visa allow her to become my dependent. Now look at it. If you have a family of 4 or 5 people, you are the only person working with H1B. The rest are carrying H4. Your kids can go to school. Your wife cannot go to school because of her class of visa. She cannot work because of her class of visa. What that simply means is that you are working, you are feeding 5 mouths. Who are your dependents?
Okay, Prof.
You can't do anything. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. We'll come back to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Dr.